Hey everybody, tonight we're going to be talking about the toad. At least that's what I'm going to be calling it. I saw that in a description on AliExpress, and I did see that in a translation, phone translation of my the documentation that came with it. So I'm kind of guessing at the name, but interesting piece. It's a sort of magnetic pivot slider, and it has a series of push buttons on the top there. And it can be taken apart, although I would hope that you don't ever have to. I have done it, and I'm going to show you how to do it just in case you do have to take it apart. Either way, should be an interesting time. Please stick around. Okay, so let's just look at it and hear how it sounds here. It doesn't look too bad. Close inspection, cheap Phillips screws, and they will very easily strip if you don't have the right size bit. You'll notice a little keyway there. That's how this comes apart. But you can hold it in your hand. A lanyard would help with this. Unfortunately, my clip does fit. I'll show you that in a moment, but it doesn't fit nicely. Paracord, one single strand would probably fit through that, whether you gutted the paracord or not. But you can sort of... I'm really new with this, but I wanted to get this out of the way before the weekend. This is basically everything I've been doing with it. You can bring it up part way and rotate it, but it doesn't really operate well. It seems like more of a back and forth. Oh, I popped it out by accident. So there's a little screw here that goes into that keyway. That keeps the whole thing together. That's the first time it popped apart on me this evening. But you'll see it's not, once it gets out to the end, it's totally flopping around. It's not something I'm really used to yet. So I have not spent more than 5 minutes with this thing, which is usually not my practice. I want to get some time in with it. I see its potential. It feels good. And the buttons, though, they're awfully stiff. And I know from experience, people like to have those push buttons on both sides so that you can sort of squeeze it. Louty makes a few different things like that. The puffer crash, the strawberry thing, whatever. There's like 3 of them. And maybe that's why people don't take them apart. Wait till you see there's this little clicker dome underneath each one of these balls. So we will get into that. We'll do comparisons and weights and everything next. I'm not going to get too involved with comparisons. I'm only going to bring out these two since a lot of us have this. This is the Metal Toys Top B slider. So side by side. And then we have the Mackie CP3. Okay. Now, for weight, this does have magnets in it. I'm going to go and get my little plastic box to put underneath here. Okay, let's do this. Just an empty plastic box, had those nicotine pouches in it before I emptied it and cleaned it out. Alright, that'll keep the magnets away from the scale. 66.3 grams. So it's a little heavy. And lastly here in this little segment we will do the measurements. And I will get my nice calipers out here. Overall length, not including the lanyard hole, just about 39 millimeters. With the lanyard hole, about 44. The width is about 18. The thickness, without the buttons sticking up, is about 14. With the buttons sticking up, make sure I get those right, about 15. So about 15 there, and then 14 without the buttons. And I think what we did, height, width, thickness, I think we got everything. Last time I missed a few things, I think. We will now move on to what was in the box. Alrighty, let's put this off to the side. Here's the box. Hold this up for you. Spin it around. Hold that real still in case you want to do a screenshot. Do a translation for yourself there. Get this up where it's in focus. Make sure this is in focus. I have to hit my screen to make sure it's in focus. Okay. There's nothing else to be seen there. Take the cover off. Black cardboard box. Then you have the packing slip. This is just a warning. I believe this is where I saw that it said Toad when it was translated. And it came with a very shitty screwdriver, a weird keychain. Put all this up here for you. And a length of some kind of paracord. That is what was in the box. There really is no need for extra parts. You shouldn't lose anything. Okay, let's take this thing apart. Like I showed you and accidentally might have shown you, I don't remember if I re-recorded that piece or not. There's a keyway and sort of a key that you can line up. The key is, of course, this screw. That's how these two pieces come apart. Now, there's nothing more you can do with this one. I did notice when mine came in, this screw was turned out too far. And that meant that whenever everything was put together, there was a weird gap between those two pieces. You can see there's no gap at all whenever it's properly screwed in the whole way. So there was a gap. You want to make sure that that screw, that pivot screw we'll call it, is screwed in the whole way. And this is where I have to emphasize the importance of having even a cheap screwdriver set. Now this is just a Pittsburgh brand name from Harbor Freight. That's why you always see this. And it has enough variety of bits in it. I only had to file the tip off of one to get a special bit. But this, if you don't have a bit that fits really good, this was glued in and it's hard to get out. So one of the precautions I took was just to take a lighter, and I didn't bring one over with me, but I took my lighter, cigarette lighter, big lighter, and just held it up just enough to warm this. I didn't want it to get really, really hot, because if you go over 175 Fahrenheit, you will start to affect the magnets. Now it's up around 180, 190 Fahrenheit when you permanently start to damage the magnets, but 175 you're okay with. I'm just heating it up with a lighter enough to maybe soften up whatever kind of adhesive they had in there, because it is glued in. And again, it's important to find something that fits as perfectly as possible, because if you don't, you're going to strip the little plus Phillips, the part that the bit goes into. Either it will strip on there, or if you have shitty bits, you could damage your bit. But this seems like a Phillips Zero fits the best, and that fit the best for me. Now I'm not going to unscrew this because I got it in there good now, but when I did take it out, it had a little bit of white glue on it, and that's how it was apparent on these as well. I used some acetone and went in and out with this screw a few times and sort of used it like a tap to clean everything out, and then it was finally able to go in the whole way, and it doesn't interfere anymore. So that's all there is to be said about this part. Okay, this is the part where Kyle would say, I regret this, I regret this, I regret this. No, I did this earlier. Each one of these screws was also glued in. I also took a big lighter, being careful again not to heat it up too much for the magnets, but I heated up this end fairly well. And then this is a different bit now. We're going to go up to a Phillips 1. Fits the best, and believe me, you're going to have to push down on it and crank very, very slowly. can't emphasize how important that is. Get the right tool for the job. So these have already been cracked open earlier. I can go ahead and get them out pretty easy now, thank goodness. You'll probably still see some white residue on these screws. I'm just leaving it on there for now. I don't see a reason to clean it up any better. Now I'm going to be keeping some pressure applied here because I don't want everything to come apart in my hands. Believe me, these did not come out so easy the first time. It was very, very difficult. I wasn't even sure if I was getting them out. They were in so tight. Okay. There we have our 4 screws. Now what I'm going to do is keep everything held together, and I figured the more magnet strength the better. So I'm going to put this whole thing back together again, keeping pressure on everything. Now, my next thought was, this plate's going to come off. Those balls are going to come out. I didn't want them to fall out this way, so it figures that you'd probably turn it upside down and take it apart this way. And this is where you have to be very, very slow. So all these balls are loose in here. And they appear to be the black ceramics. This side I want to be very, very careful with. And just like the first time I took it apart, what we have here, I didn't count these yet, but there are, let me make sure it's in focus, little, what do we call those? Clicker domes that are just being held on by the magnetism from underneath, and 2 of them have popped up. So you should never have to take this apart unless maybe it arrives and one of these doesn't work. Maybe you can get it apart and fix it yourself. The trick now is to get these 2 back down in there. They're a countersunk hole, and if you can get your finger across it just right, it might stay down in there. At least that was my experience earlier. Now it's going to be a bugger for me. And God forbid I knock any extra ones over, because I don't want to do more than I have to. Now that one appears to be upside down. That's just great. Okay, good. Now we're right side up again. You can tell, oh, there it flipped out again, by the reflection of the light. I'm sorry this is taking so long. But, oh, there, I accidentally grabbed another one. Come on now. Pause. Okay, I didn't really need to pause because right after I said that, I got the back on. They will stay in as long as you don't bump them. And now the trick is to just flip it over gently. Make sure none of them pop out, and then gently put it right back on. And then hold everything together. Make sure this seam is nice and even all the way around. And then what you should do probably is test each and every one of these. Yep, feels like they're all okay to me. Now we can go ahead and put the screws back in. I'll just put in one here. Again, you want to turn counterclockwise so you feel a small click, then you know you're in the thread. And then just snug it in. So, I darn near ruined the head of one of these screws because it did slip on me. It was early on in the game. Okay, now these 2 in and we're done. Like I said, you should never have to take this apart, really, so I wouldn't even get in there if you don't have to. Because you'd be risking the loss of an expensive toy, and God knows what's going to happen with these tariffs. But now everything's back to working again. Like I said, I have not had much time with this. I wanted to get this video out before the weekend because I plan on going camping Friday night. It's going to be 70s and in the 70s during the day and in the 60s at night. It's probably going to be wet, but it'll be my first time out this year. And I've been dying to get out. So I should have said that at the beginning of maybe I'll put a note at the beginning of this video. But yeah, occasionally you're going to see some camping videos, and please don't unsubscribe because I'll be back with more fidget videos eventually. I just don't know how much. Hey, look at that. Toad. It is in fact the Toad. How about that? Well, that's a nice way to end the evening. Yeah, like I said, I guess I don't know how things are going to go with these tariffs. I had 3 things coming in right now. This was one of them. I didn't have to pay any tariff on it. The other 2, I think they're going to make it through as well. But after that, I don't know what or when these things are going to take effect, and we could be talking about something that's $100 costing as much as $250. And I'm not going to be paying that kind of money for stuff like this. So there's a link provided, a non-affiliated link in the description. You can find this several different places if you just look around. Maybe you'll have a preferred supplier there on Alley. Be prepared. I don't know if you're going to get tariffed on it when it arrives, if you're living in the States or wherever. But yeah, I think that's it. So I will see you soon, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Hope I talked loud enough. Thanks.